Hi, welcome to Mother Industrialist live show where we talk about entrepreneurship, parenting, and life. Today is episode 12, and I'm the host Kenneth. And today I have this really awesome lady that I met. She's a mother of two children. She's an author of Prayer Flash. She's also a freelance writer, singer, lyricist, composer, performer, and speaker with international experience. And not just that, she also worked as a copywriter, actor for radio, film, and television, a motivational speaker, a professor, and a teacher. So I'm so truly blessed to have her today on my live show. And let's welcome Sheri.
Hi, everyone.
Hi,
Hello.
Sheri. Hi,
Hi.
hello. Hi, thanks for making time. And I guess we have a bit of time zone problem, but nevertheless, we still get connected. And before we start the show, there's a tradition which is every guest at the end of the show they get to post a question of the day to the next guest and to the audience. And now the question is being posted to you. So are you ready with the question of the day before we kickstart the show?
I'm ready.
Yes. So the question of the day is, what are the minds required for our children in 2036? So I repeat again, what are the minds, MINDS, required
Mhm.
for our children in 2036, in the year 2036? So give some time to think about it while I go to Facebook and check if we are live successful and whether our sounds are all right. Is that cool?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So let me just
See you in a couple.
yeah. So let me just check. Going to okay. I see two people coming in. Do let me know where you're from. So I repeat again. What are the minds? Okay, my sound is good. Required for our children in 2036. Okay, hi to those guys that just logged in live with us. Okay, let me just. Okay, good. Sheri, your sound is good. Everything is good. I see people coming in. Do comment it below. Let us know where you're from and where you're uh, coming on live at. So, Sheri, are you ready with your answer to the question of the day?
Well, I will give some thoughts
Mm,
about what our children in 2020.
mm,
I th- I think you have to stay positive
mm,
and hope for the best.
mm, mm,
And for me, my life is surrounded with prayer and
mm,
knowing that there's a reason for me to be here.
mm,
And children have to realize that no one's ever a mistake,
mm.
that their life has purpose,
Yes.
and uh, and what you need to do is seek out your purpose
Mm,
by
mm,
learning and asking questions and never being afraid to ask for help.
mm, mm.
So, so
So they have to be really adventurous, to be really curious and start asking questions. And that will be the
yes,
mind that they will have to equip them in 2036, in the year 2036,
2036.
which is 20
Wow,
years
that
from
sounds
now.
so far away, doesn't
Yes,
it?
yes, yeah. Because this
And
question is being asked by the previous guest. She's an educator, and she just basically posts up because she's curious. What is in a mind of the parent 20 years from now, especially like for my case, my daughter, she's 8 years old, and 20 years time she'll be a grown up adult, and she'll be in the workforce, and what is going to be required of them in that period of time. Yeah.
well, and I think as parents, we set the stage for our children. We need to give them lots of opportunities and experiences, not just the book learning that they have from school, but
Mm-mm.
experiences, because that's how they discover what their unique talents are and
Mm.
abilities. And they need to see outside of just the world. I love traveling.
Yeah.
And if you can't actually travel because it is expensive,
Mm-mm.
try traveling through a book.
Mm-mm.
You know, books are wonderful ways to
Yes.
travel to other worlds and see other things and know opportunities, because we're limited as parents kind of by our own experience. So we
Yep.
need to help our children see beyond um, their little world and
Mm.
all the possibilities that are out there.
Yes.
And books, I was an English teacher, so
Mm.
I love books.
Yeah.
Read to our children,
Mm.
encourage reading, encourage travel where
Mm.
possible. Going to museums are
Mm.
a great way. My
Yeah.
son and I love going to museums.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. So thanks a lot for your answer for the question of the day, and now we can kickstart the show. So maybe Sheri, can you just do a short introduction about yourself? What were you doing in the beginning, and what are you currently working on? You can share with us because the
Hi.
audience are new to you, so maybe we can share with them.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, good morning or good evening, everyone. It's morning where I'm at. I'm in Florida in the United
Wow.
States. And I was born in Minnesota, which is very, very cold.
Hmm.
And I finally realized my brain was freezing. So I moved somewhere warm. But I've been a lifelong learner. And
Hmm.
I got that from my parents.
Hmm.
My father was an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
He was always learning, always reading, always trying some new. When he decided he grew up without any money, so
Hmm.
once he started making some money, he was out teaching all of us kids to archery. We were skiing, snow skiing, water skiing. I mean, there was nothing that he wasn't willing to try, and he
Hmm.
passed that enthusiasm and just excitement for life onto all of us. And I think that was something I wanted to pass on to my children. But first, I was very driven to become educated
Hmm.
and to gain, I guess, knowledge from books.
Hmm.
And for me, that was becoming a teacher,
Hmm.
and I also became a principal
Hmm.
and a lawyer.
Wow.
And I did some of that to make my father happy. He wasn't always happy that I was into singing and writing and drama. And so I went to law school sort of to make him happy and to
Hmm.
prove that yes, I could think and I could work hard. But what I found after law school is that wasn't really my heart and my passion.
Hmm.
And to be happy in life wasn't just a matter of doing what the world says was going to make me successful.
Hmm.
It was finding what my unique talents and abilities were, and that was in the arts, not
Hmm.
in law for me.
Hmm. Wow. Wow. So that brings us to the topic of the day, which is how to overcome life obstacles and live an abundant life. So Sherry, like previously you have shared with me, like there's a lot of obstacles that you have gone through, you have overcome the tough time, especially for a mother. So how do you find strength and courage to come back and also to move on? Maybe you can share a bit on what are the life obstacles that you face, especially as a mom. What are the tough times that you face, so that the viewers, the audience, and the listeners, they are able to understand what was it like and how did you find the strength to overcome all this.
Well, I've been mostly a single mom. I didn't mean to be a single mom. I meant to do it with a partner, but
Mm.
it's interesting how life has twists and turns, and you don't always get what you think you're going to get out of life.
Mm.
But for me, my one constant has been my faith in God and believing that He has a plan for my life
Mm.
and that my life was meant for service and
Mm.
for sharing my talents. So that always kept me going. But I don't know if you want me to share some of the challenges I had, but
Mm.
um, I view life as a series of seasons,
Mm.
and we have a season where we're learning and acquiring knowledge, and then we have a season where we're trying to just juggle everything. As mothers, we don't even have a time to reflect. Sometimes we're so busy
Mm.
that uh, we push aside our needs, and sometimes those things are what make us the best kind of mother, is to stay active in the arts, stay active in a career,
Mm.
keep questioning what you're doing and seeing if you're happy, because if we're happy, our children will be happy,
Yes, yes,
will be
you
better
are right.
parents. Yeah. When uh, when I was divorced, I was at a situation where I thought, well, should I work outside the home? Should I stay home with my daughter? And I ultimately decided to go back into teaching because I wanted my daughter to see me as involved in life and excited about life. And it made me a better parent when I came back to parenting her. But I had to make a choice to be happy because I lost a full-term baby. And my dad died in a plane crash.
Wow.
And, I was divorced. My one husband just walked off one day. He was gone. So I was left with a situation where I could be, oh, poor, woe was me, what's going on? Bad things just keep happening to me. Or I could decide to take those experiences and use them to help others. And there was no textbook, there was no roadmap for how I was going to move forward in life. But I needed to think outside the box, so to speak, and figure out what was going to make me happy. What was I best at? Someone said, in fact, my pastor said yesterday, I love what he said. He said that wisdom comes from not just what we're taught in books, but it also comes from what we catch. And we catch experiences. And so how are we going to take our experiences and the wisdom that maybe we learned from our parents, we learned in books, and how are we going to take it to make not only our life better, but the world a better place?
Yes, definitely. And Sheri, I'm so thankful that you're so open about your experiences, your things, your tough time, and a lot of things that sad to hear that. But I can see that you pull up the courage and you are brave. You overcome all this, and under the strong belief and strong faith in God, and that's where you are now here sharing with all this, really open, and I can see that there's a lot of abundance in you, of you sharing, and having you overcome all this, and now sharing this is not easy. It's not easy. So I'm
No,
really
it's
thankful. Yeah, really thankful for what you have shared. And so what is that's how do you find strength and also the courage to come back? Because a lot of things that happen, I believe a lot of people who face the same things that you face, they would have given up on themselves, or even still they would have done a lot of crazy stuff, even to sabotage themselves. So what is
right.
how do you find the strength and the courage? Maybe you can share with us.
Well, it's been a learning process, and I'm not saying I never did anything crazy. And I would never say that I never made mistakes either. I think we have to throw out the word perfect,
Perfect.
because so many of us want to be perfect mothers, perfect with our jobs, perfect in our friendships, and there's no such thing as perfection. But what we need to be is authentic and our real selves, and realize that that everybody goes through struggles,
Yes.
and instead of trying to hide, use that as part of our strength. And that's what I've tried to do, because we can't control the circumstances around us, but what we can control is our attitude. And part of our attitude is to stop feeling, not only worrying about perfection, but to stop feeling guilty about everything. I spent a lot of time in my younger years thinking because I wasn't perfect, therefore I was a bad mother, or but that's not true. We have to throw out the guilt and just keep pushing forward. If you see a problem, you need to figure out, well, how can I solve this, and who can I ask for help, so that I can make my life more meaningful and closer to what I think will lead to some kind of an abundant life.
Yeah. And did you find the strength from your children? Because as a mother, you really want to make it work for not just for yourself, also for them. Are they your inspiration? Are they your motivators for you to move on and carry on with life?
Well, in two different situations, both my children have been my motivators. When my daughter was 2, I had to make a very bold decision to get out of a really tough marriage. And again, I could have just withdrawn and been sad, and I decided to throw myself back into teaching. And so I actually made myself busier rather than creating more time for her. I became busier, but it made me a more fulfilled mother, and so I had more to bring back to her. And then with my son, he's been a real motivator to get outside of my box. I tend to be very into the creative arts and whatnot. And I remember one time when he was really little, I said to him, do you want me to play with you? And he looked at me really strange, like, but Mom, you're a makeup girl. And I thought, oh, he thought I was going to have him play with my toys. Instead, I needed to play with his toys. That's what I meant. I was going to play with buses and trucks. But I loved having a son because it got me outside of my world. And I thought, okay, obviously my son's not going to do girl things. I realized he was into fishing and museums and nature shows. And that wasn't my talent, or wasn't even my interest. But because I saw through his eyes, he opened my world to a whole new world of possibilities. And I learned new things in the sciences. But because I was trying to see the world through his eyes instead of my eyes, it helped give me new experiences. And I think as all of us have to get outside of our own little box in our world, and to always be curious, and to try to not be afraid to try things that are outside of our comfort zone, because we might find that we have interests that we never knew we had.
Yes, definitely. That means really moving out from our comfort zone. But Sheri, give me a moment, just because my throat is a bit dry.
Oh, absolutely. No problem. Do you want me to sing a song? Da, 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 da.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for
We're having
lightening
a
up.
commercial break right now.
Yes. So you can start singing and acting at the same time. Yeah.
Well, here's an example of some of the things I did. I decided, instead of being afraid of my life, I was going to keep pushing forward. My dad's attitude always was, you should reach for the stars. And if you don't hit the stars, maybe you'll hit the roof, but at least you won't hit the ground. So, I told you I went to law school, and then I decided I didn't want to be a lawyer. But teaching was very creative for me, yet I wanted to do more. I love to perform. So I thought one day, well, why don't I call a radio station and see if I can do some voiceovers.
Wow.
Because I had been doing singing, but I wanted to do more in media. So I found a radio station that was willing to let me do some voiceovers. And before you know it, their copywriter, who writes what is in the commercials, that person dropped out. And so I was asked, do you want to start writing commercials? And I thought, oh, I've never done this before. Can I do it? And then I thought, well, why not just take a jump and give it a try? So I tried and loved it, had fun. I did radio jingles, did silly radio commercials with voices. And then before you know it, that opportunity helped me jump into my next opportunity, which was my school district had a TV show, a news magazine show. And again, they asked me if I wanted to do it. And I thought, well, I've never done this before. How can I do this? I don't really have the skills for TV. I've never tried it. But I thought, I'm not going to say no to a new opportunity. So I went ahead and did it. And, each thing I've done, it was definitely just stretching me just a little bit farther than I was comfortable with. But I went ahead and gave it a shot, made sure that I had done my research and practiced, of course. But, sometimes in life we think, well, I want to be here, way out here with this big goal. And we have to be willing to take the baby steps that it takes to get to the big goal. Now, I wouldn't have felt comfortable doing some of the things I did, but each step, writing the radio commercials, doing the voiceovers. So I wasn't actually on camera. I was behind the scenes, which I kind of liked because I didn't have to worry about my makeup or
That's nice.
and hearing my commercials on the radio, that gave me the strength to take that next step, which was TV.
Yes.
And then when it came to being a motivational speaker for business college, again, the teaching, the commercials, the TV shows, but especially the teaching, it really gave me a good foundation for taking the next step in life. So we have to remember our life is in seasons and pieces. So it's not always a season to do what the big goal is. Sometimes you have to take the small step and be patient. Be patient with yourself. Life goes a lot faster than you think it's going to go.
Yes, definitely.
And your children won't always be little and having temper tantrums and taking tons of your time. They'll be middle schoolers and they won't listen to anything you say.
Yes.
And they'll be high schoolers and they'll be questioning everything that you say and do. But similar to parenting, life is seasons, and we have to be patient and learn what we can in whatever the season is that we're in.
Yes, and thanks a lot for sharing so much on that. And now I understand why you have done a lot of things. You've been a singer, songwriter, speaker, because any opportunity comes to your way, you just grab it and you don't think about it. You say, maybe I can do it. You just did it. And that's why you have been keeping yourself really busy, even copywriting and a lot of stuff, even into in the back into voiceover and a lot of things that comes to you, and you just grab it, which is why you are living the life that you really love and you're passionate about, especially in the creative side. And so what are the various ways that one can live an abundant life that maybe you can share with us? Because in your book Prayer Flash, you talk about a few ways. Maybe you can share some over here with the audience.
Yes. I was always open to saying yes to new opportunities. But one thing I developed in the book, and the book talks about how to live a more abundant life, and how do you experience joy right now, and how do you find truth when the world's dishonest, and how do you transform your fear into faith, and live without regret. And so many of us feel guilty, and what we have to do is say no to guilt and say yes to new opportunities. So at the end of each chapter in my book, I talk about living without regret, developing a godly self-esteem, accepting forgiveness and grace. So I developed something called the ABCs for evaluating not only biblical truths, but truths in your own life. And I think these 4 steps can help anyone who's trying to evaluate new opportunities. And with AABCs, the first A is your attitude. And you need to ask yourself, what's my attitude about my life? If I'm not happy where I am, what do I need to change to get to the next step so that I can have a more abundant life? So you have to look at what are your unique gifts and talents. And a quote I have in my book is, don't try to talk God out of the job he's called you to do. God has plans uniquely suited to your talents and this season in your life. So, everyone has a gifts and talents, multiple gifts and talents. And so that's the first A, is your attitude. The second A is to take action. This could be, maybe you need to get more educated. Maybe you need to read some books, do some research and figure out what actions do I need to take to get to where I want to go, or where I think my skills are. But you have to be realistic, because if you can't carry a tune, maybe your goal shouldn't be to become an opera singer. you know.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
if you're not I remember when I taught, I had so many students that were maybe on the football team, and they thought
Mm.
they were going to be professional football players. So why would they need to write a sentence, or read a book? Why would they need to do that?
Mm.
And my attitude was, you have to be realistic. Even if you're going to be the professional football player,
Mm.
there's life after football, right?
Yes. Yes.
And you need to make sure that you have a broad base of skills.
Mm.
I think at least in America, most students that go to college,
Mm.
they start with a liberal arts education,
Mm.
and that's because you don't know what you don't know. And you
Yes.
need to experience a lot of different things. My son is a senior in high school, so he's thinking about colleges. And I said, you know, who knows what you're going to be interested in? You have to take a lot of different things to find out. Oh, this job has things in it that would really make me want to jump out of bed at 5 in the morning every morning,
Mm.
and that would really make me happy. So anyway, back to my AA. I got the first two A's.
Yes.
Then the AABCs. The B stands for the benefits.
Yep.
So a person needs to stop and think, what are the benefits of taking actions?
Mm.
Um, and do they outweigh the negatives for not growing? Because the easiest thing for all of us to do is to just stay in our shell and not jump out into our to the possibilities that life has. Sometimes we can't just wait for the stars to align. We have to make our own reality and our own excitement. So think about um, what are the desires that God's put in your heart
Mm.
for your life. When I realized that my desire wasn't to be a lawyer and it was to do something creative, it just set me free. And it made
Mm.
my heart sing. So what makes your heart sing? That's really important to think about. And then the last thing, the AABCs, is the C. And I call that the caveats, the
Mm.
warnings, because not everything that you want to do is going to be beneficial to you or
Mm.
beneficial to your children. And when you're a mom, your first thought is always, what is going to help my children? Because when you put them in the world, you need to at least spend a good 18 years making sure they have a good foundation.
Yeah.
And your role shifts from a big caretaking role to now, with my son being 17 and I have a
Mm.
daughter that's 28, I feel like I'm more like their cheerleader. So
Yes.
instead of warning them about don't do this, don't do that,
Mm.
it's like it's, yeah, you go, girl. You can
Mm.
do it. Or my
Yes.
son, go ahead, try this.
Mm.
And the important thing is they've always seen me jump outside what was comfortable,
Yes.
and to keep learning. When they see that, they start to believe that they can do the same thing, that they don't have to have a cookie cutter job.
Mm.
You can create new opportunities for yourself if you're
Yeah.
willing to do that. But we have to be a role model for our kids to see that. But we also have to be realistic about what we can do and not
Mm.
do. Um, so I just am never satisfied with the status quo. I always
Mm.
try to think, okay, what would make my life more interesting, and
Wow.
then find mentors,
Mm.
find people that can help you. And sometimes that means you also have to delegate and get help at home,
Mm.
and not be afraid to maybe get a cleaning lady that comes once every 2 weeks, so that you don't have to worry about some of the mundane things. Maybe your kids can chip in a little bit so that you can realize your dream,
Yes.
and they can be a part of helping you realize your dream.
Yes, that is really really great, and thanks for sharing your AABC with us. It is a lot of value, and it can be applied to our daily lives. And like the attitude you mentioned, like a lot of things that we face in life is about the attitude, and whether do we take action, because a lot of most people will have a lot of their thoughts here, but they are not implementing, they are not putting it into action, like pursuing their dreams. Like for you, you like music, you like that, but instead of that, you also go for the realistic thing, which your father maybe will prefer you to study law and all that stuff. You graduated, but in the end you went into teaching, where it's just open up the whole world of opportunity for you to go into creative, into music, into a lot of art stuff, and that's where you reap the fruits, which is the benefits. And now with all this, you are able to write songs, compose songs, and all that, because you are pursuing something that you love. And that is something that not everybody, most people would not be able to achieve that, or pursue their dreams, or even pursue their passion. And also about the last C is career, which is about the warning. Anything that is a warning in whatever benefits that you are having. And I truly like what you have shared. And also because for you as a teacher, a lot of people will be thinking that a teacher is very by the book, it's not creative, it's not really out of the box. But you seem to be a very, very different teacher, because the teacher in Singapore are basically really by the book. They don't dare to go against the rules and regulations. They do not come with a creative way of teaching and stuff like that, because a lot of things are what they call protocols that they have to abide to, and also like the red tapes and all that stuff. So from hearing from you is really, really different. And that posted another question that I want to ask you, because coming from an educational background as an educator, being a teacher, and even someone who's multi-talented, you can write, you can sing, you can do a lot of things. So what is your views or your thoughts on the future of our children's children? Like for your children, they are already coming to become young adults. Like for my daughter, she's 8 years old this year. Another 20 years down the road, she'll be a grown up, she'll be working in the working society. What is your thoughts, and what is maybe your vision of our children's the future for them?
I believe that their future is filled with possibilities, but they need to turn off the social media. They really do. I remember when my daughter was in high school, we didn't have quite this much social media, but I remember she'd have her phone and it would stress her out because there were always messages coming in or phone calls. And I finally said to her, when you call your doctor, you don't get a call back right away. Or you call a lawyer or whoever, they call you back when it's convenient. So I said, you have to decide to take back control of your life and your time. And, that's great if friends want to get a hold of you, but set aside a specific time. Maybe it's a study break that you return your calls. But don't always be jumping to somebody else's schedule or time. You need to just turn it all off and listen to your heart, because when you have so much coming in, you can't hear anything. You're just distracted trying to chase down this and chase down that. You have to stop and say, I'm in control of my time. This is my life. What do I need to do to get to where I want to go? So I grew up tall. I'm 6 feet tall, so I'm really tall. I was shy. I was very awkward. And for me, I was kind of lucky. We didn't have all the social media, but I was also lucky because I wasn't popular at all. So all I really had was my music, I took 10 years of piano lessons, and I had 3 years of voice. And about 15, I decided to start writing songs because I heard songs on the radio and I thought, I think I can do something every bit as good as what I'm listening to. But I guess if I had been popular or, part of social media, it would have distracted me so much that I never would have developed some of these wonderful things that are now just so important as an adult, and really feeding, I had the foundation when the season was being young. And when you're young, you want your kids to try music and sports, and you don't want them sitting on their phones or playing their video games, because all that's going to do is distract them from figuring out who they are and what
Yes.
they love to do. So that would be, they have lots of possibilities, but sometimes with opportunities and so many choices,
Yeah.
we never get started
Yes.
because we're just bombarded by everything that we never jumpstart our life, and life will keep going. Time keeps ticking, and
Yes.
we take the control back as mothers, as entrepreneurs, as parents, and teach our kids that I have control of
Mm.
my time. I don't
Yes.
have control of a lot of things that happen to me,
Yeah.
but I can decide how am I going to spend my time, and who am I going to allow in my life. The
Mm.
other thing is sometimes we have negative people in our lives and negative things, and sometimes we need to shut those things off too and
Yes.
listen to our own voices. I use the example that sometimes our family isn't our best choice
Mm.
for who we are and what we do. Sometimes we need to find mentors in something that we love. So if you love music, or if you're an entrepreneur in a certain
Mm.
area, find a mentor that's outside of your family and friends, because they may love you, but they may not be able to give you the best advice
Yes.
to push you forward. They see you as a certain type of person,
Mm.
and if you see yourself as somebody different with more opportunities,
Mm.
you need to find other people in your life that help you with that vision of where
Yes.
you want to go.
Yes. And I like the part where you share about, like, you have to take control, especially to your children, rather than let the circumstances or the environment or the people that has no direct relation with them to take control of their lives, like being overwhelmed by social media, caring so much about the likes and comments and stuff like that, which in return it kind of sway them away from their true self. Example, like it's not just only into children who's in social media. It's even into adults, working adults who are in a job. A lot of time they
Mhm.
are in jobs that they don't like, they don't favor, and they are not passionate about, and it's because they are just listening to people like their parents, or people of authority, like the teachers say that, okay, you need to study accountancy, you have to be an accountant, you are good at math, you have to be in accountancy and stuff
Right.
like that, or you are good with theory, you can be an engineer. All that stuff is all being dictated by people around us with authority, like our parents, our grandparents, our teachers and stuff like that. In the end, we lose what we are truly passionate about. Like for me, I share with you that I was a fashion designer, and but because of
Yes.
society, because of environment, um, being a fashion designer in Singapore is not really favorable, and that's where I have to go into things like sales, which is
Right.
more for how should I put it, because with no formal education in any other than arts and designs, I have to the only occupation is available, which is sales. And sales is a learnable skill, and I learned it. I've been in the media sales for the past 8 to 9 years, been really good. But I also realized that it's because why am I in media sales is because of the creative background as a fashion designer
Absolutely.
that kept me in the industry for so long. And because in fact I was in banking too, but banking I didn't felt the joy. I felt that it wasn't my cup
Right.
of tea. And in fact I keep moving on and keep discovering more, and now I'm now doing Mother Industrialist live show, where I'm so passionate about having special guests like you, Sheri, coming on and sharing your experiences. And I love talking to moms. I love to talk to people. I like to learn from them. I like them to share their experiences with a lot of people out there. And now with technology, with internet, it's all possible. And
Absolutely.
definitely, we are in control of our life. It's whether we want to. And there's a lot of people, most people out there are not in control of their life. That's why they feel stressed. That's why they feel frustrated. A lot of them felt lost because they are doing things that they don't love. And like for you, I really like because you're pursuing your passion, you're in music, in all the creative stuff that you are in, and now you have retired, and you also written a book. You're now an author of a
Yes.
book. So really really proud because you have done so much in your life, a lot of things that you really want, and truly blessed. And now your children are also learning from it. They are also pursuing things that they really love, and it's not easy to, because to come out from the rest. Like yesterday I was chatting with one of the mompreneurs that is going to come in for the next show. She shared something that she always feel that she's different. She always feel that she's the odd one out from the whole class. And why is she
Mm-hmm.
so athletic? Why is she so energetic? Why is she so sociable? I just shared something with her. If you look at all the wildly successful people, they are unique, like Steve Jobs, Bill Gates,
Yes.
Richard Branson, Oprah Winfrey. All these people are wildly successful because they are unique in their own ways. So when I share that with her, she says, "Oh, she has a light bulb being lit up." And that is what for you too. You are in the arena, you are in the turf that nobody can touch, like in music, in songwriting, even as speaker, motivational speaker. You are that one and only, and every one of us have to recognize it, and you address that, Jerry. Like you want them to have a choice in their life. They need to find the true self in them, especially for our children. And that's addressed my thoughts for our children, because a lot of our children are just following another system and what the society wants. But
Right.
in the next 10 to 20 years, with technology, with artificial intelligence coming in, with automation, with robots coming in, all these academic wise, a lot of things that is what masters does is not going to work in the future. And what you also bring out is how to bring the true self and bring out the talent in them, and that's what you're doing to your kids. I'm so glad that you're doing on that part. And and maybe if let's say I'm just curious, because you have shared a lot on that, your life, you are living life, abundant life. So what is that one thing, if let's say today you have this special power to reverse time, what is that one thing that you want to change?
Well, that I've had many things that have happened in my life,
Mm,
and a lot of things that I wish hadn't happened.
mm,
But I think every experience that we have helps us with our unique story.
mm,
Um, and some of the best lessons in life are from your biggest disappointments or mistakes. I mean, think about in school when you made a mistake on a test.
mm.
Once you figured out what the right answer was, sometimes you remembered that more because
Mm.
you made the mistake
Yes.
than you would if you were just successful all the time. So
Mm.
I think when the light bulb was invented, there were hundreds of experiments
Yes. Yeah,
and
it's in fact
failures.
thousands.
Yes, and I think Steve Jobs. I think everyone that's been successful has had probably more disappointments
Yes.
than successes,
Yes.
but they didn't let their failures, so to
Mm.
speak, or
Yes.
their disappointments stop them
Mm.
from pursuing what they felt was basically their reason for living.
Yes.
What gives you excitement. So um, for me, the Bible and prayer are a huge part of my plans, and it helps me check my attitude. But um, I don't think you can look back in life. I mean, certainly we've all made
Mm.
mistakes, but I think that God takes everything that we've done, and because He's sovereign, He can make wonderful things out of even our worst nightmares, because He has a plan for each of our lives.
Yes.
And when we realize that our disappointments don't have to destroy us,
Mm.
but they can make us better. It's sort of like even with writing this book. I couldn't have written the book while I was younger or while I was going through a lot of my struggles,
Mm.
because I didn't have the wisdom to look
Yes.
back and say, well, this is what I've learned from that. But I felt like at this age, I finally lived enough that I hope I can pass on
Mm.
some wisdom to help people that are going through struggles,
Mm.
and they don't have all the answers and they don't know where their life is going,
Mm.
to stop. And for me, it's prayer. For some people, they believe in a higher power, but
Mm.
to know that their life has a purpose, and they will get through
Yeah.
whatever struggle they're going through, because you can't change a lot of things.
Yeah.
And of course, sometimes we just make really bad choices as human beings, but then we need to say, okay, that didn't work out too well. Now what do I need to do to make it right? And I think we learn a lot from our disappointments and mistakes. And
Sheri?
help you jump to the next thing.
Yeah.
So
I just lost you on the last part because the internet is okay. No problem. Yep, you're back.
You have me back?
Yes.
There we go. All right. Also, I think we need to realize that sometimes what our talents are, go outside the box of that, because you know, when I was a teacher, I wanted to also be a performer. So instead of just trying to be a performer, and a lot of performers wait tables, but I thought, you know, I'm gonna have my teaching job, because that's going to give me some stability while I try some of these other things. So I think sometimes people think it's all or nothing, and you know, keep your day job while you're starting your entrepreneurial job. You know. And then once you feel like you're ready to quit that and move on to the next step, you know, then you have the foundation to go ahead and do that, and you have more confidence. But you know, with dreams, sometimes you don't get to exactly where you thought you were going to go, but you'll maybe get to do something that's similar and use your talents. But you can't be in such a box to say, I only want to be X, Y, or Z. Because there's a whole alphabet of choices out there that until you actually get out and start talking to people and doing different things, you never know where the opportunities are. And if you're too close-minded and think, well, this is what I want to do, you may not know. I use the example in my book. Maybe you wanted to be a rock and roll singer, but you know, your career just never took off. Well, maybe you could be the guy that's, you know, helps the stage manager. So you might not be the rock singer, but you love being in the environment of music and creativity. So you're the manager, or maybe you're the guy who brings the guitar out on stage. So you can be around the environment that you love, even if you're not doing the exact thing that you thought, well, I have to do this. You know, you can find other things around the industry that you're interested in and love to do, and still have a happy, abundant life.
Yes, you're so right. And thanks for sharing so much. And we are coming to the end of the show. Time really flies, and really want you to be able to share more. Maybe on the next future episode, I will maybe invite you again, Sheri. So last but not least, there's a tradition. What is there's a tradition for every guest. You get to post the question of the day out to the audience and also to the next guest. So are you ready with the question of the day?
Well, I was thinking, in America, at least, we have a saying, and it's called it says stop and smell the roses. So I want to ask the next guest, what do you do that helps fill your creativity cup? What do you do to stop and smell the roses in your life, so that you don't just let life carry you like a river? You're just you're just floating downstream, but you need to stop. And what is it that provides fragrance and beauty and good things in your life, and stop and enjoy those things too?
Okay, so Sheri, what's the question that what was your question again?
Well, the question is, what does this person do that helps them stop and smell the roses in their life? What kind of activities do they do, or what helps them? Do they meditate? Do they go for long walks? Do they listen to a certain type of music? What helps them fill their cup so that they can be creative and then go back into their work life or their life as a mother and be more productive?
Okay, so can I put it
because
in that?
I was going to say, I think a lot of times for all of us, we stop being creative because you're the accountant or you're the engineer, and everything's cut and dried. But we need people in the future to think outside the box, to be creative, to love art and music, and really feed that part of their soul. And I think that makes them better at whatever job they're doing. So what does this person do to stop and smell the roses that helps them go back to their regular job and make it even better?
So if I could sum up, is basically something like, what do you do to help yourself to become more creative? Can I put it in that way?
That's fine. Yes.
Okay. So that is the question of the day. So this question will be posted out to the audience who are watching, listening, and also to the next guest. And before we end the show, Sheri, do you have any last advice for the audience, especially the mothers who wanted to pursue their passion, something that they really love, and also how to live an abundant life? What's your last advice?
Well, I think as moms, we don't isolate yourself. Don't be afraid to share that you're not perfect, that you have weaknesses, that you need help. And so oftentimes we're embarrassed. We think, well, I should have been able to do it all, but no one can do it all. So don't isolate yourself. Don't be afraid to share and to go outside your comfort zone, and to find the resources when you need help, because you can't do it all.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Sheri. Thanks for sharing this advice to all the audience and also to everybody who's watching this show. And last but not least, thanks for watching Mother Industrialist live show. And Kenneth here signing off with Sheri. And thank you for watching. Thanks, Sheri. Thanks for your time today. I'll see you soon. Thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye.